So I want to give you a recap of the video that you're about to see about how to get business credit with tax, well, not with tax deeds, but for tax deeds. This is a very, very informative video. The guy is phenomenal. He has already helped a few of my clients. And so I just want you to look through the video, and there is a golden nugget, probably like 15 or 20 minutes in, of one place you can go to start building your business credit. I thought that this was imperative to do right now, as you know, the economy is starting to shift and it's going to be a lot harder to find funding. Business credit, I always tell my clients to get business credit and leverage your business credit instead of using your cash, because you can leverage $10,000 to $20,000 and pay like a monthly between $100 to $200, regardless of how the interest rates are skyrocketing now. Business credit is a little bit different, and so I want my students in my community to have more access to cash and capital, so as this economy starts to decline, you've already been prepared and set to have access to cash. So listen to this video. It's a really good video, and I really like the fact that this guy gives you a funding financial plan. I don't even know if I said that right, but he gives you, instead of you going and applying for all these banks and having to get, he basically takes the guesswork out of seeing where you can get funding and what you can get funded for. So tune in and listen to this interview. I really appreciate people that know so much and have experienced it themselves in trying to find business credit. So stay tuned. Hi, my name is Mika Coleman, and I'm with Tax Deed and Overages. And today I have Will King, who has a business on helping investors as well as small businesses in getting business credit. So Will, I'm going to just let you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company, and then we'll get right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much for the opportunity just to come on and to share. Certainly appreciate it. Will King is my name. Elite Vision Funding is the company, our company. It was started with my wife and I, wow, 9 years ago. Doesn't sound like it's been that long. 9 years ago.
Time flies.
Time flies, I tell you. And really, it started, we started doing real estate investing a little over 9 years ago, and obviously we needed to have funding. And so, because I would go out and talk with various banks and credit unions trying to get funding, just got so many declines. I mean, decline after decline after decline. And then it just got so common to where, you kind of used to that word, we'll send you a letter in the mail. You already kind of know what that means. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, it was very frustrating coming back, having to tell my wife, hey, we didn't get the funding. And, obviously good deals don't stay around long. And so those that have access to funding are the ones that are able to get those good deals and the off-market deals. And so we said at that point, I told my wife, I said, we're either going to learn how to get funding, what these banks are looking for, or we're going to find something else to do. And she was actually the one that found the real estate investing for us. So I always tell people, she's kind of the brains, I'm the mouth, and it's a really good operation. So, but that's how our funding company came about, is we made a decision. We were going to learn what banks were looking for, how to get funding. So started building relationships, connected with some commercial loan officers on LinkedIn, went to lunch with some local bankers here, just started learning, just learning what is the language, what are they looking for? And then after we kind of thought we know a little bit, we had a couple of people, some friends that, were having some business challenges. So we just offered to see if we can help them for free to get funding. And one of the couples, they were a startup, and we were able to get them 162,000. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think we got something. So we did, I don't know, the first quite a few clients just free, didn't charge anything. Mm-hmm. And as we were able to see that we were able to get them funding, it just took off from there. So here we are, almost 9 years later, helping businesses get funding, startup businesses, real estate investors, even 7- and 8-figure businesses, we've been able to help get funding.
Okay, good. Now, a lot of people don't know when you say funding. So I just want you to kind of like explain briefly like what business credit is, because that actually is the foundation to getting any type of funding. So could you kind of like say, and you know, I know a couple of, I know not in a couple of sentences, but a brief about what is business credit and how it can benefit? Because I do real estate investing, but of course, there's also people that like to start small businesses. But explain what business credit is, and then how it actually helps, you know, small businesses and real estate investors like myself.
Sure, sure. So business credit, as we all know we have personal credit. We're all familiar with that. Personal credit that is attached to your 9 digit, what we call Social Security number.
Hmm.
So with your business credit, I always say that it's your business Social Security number, even though it's an EIN, still a 9 digit number is attached to your business. And so just as we're familiar with building credit under our personal, where we go and get credit cards and loans and all of those sort of things, you can do the exact same thing on your business side. Now it's a little different. Now here's some of the things that are common when it comes to business and personal. Business and personal, you can get credit cards, lines of credit, vehicles. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Real estate, you can get under your business. Okay. Now, the important thing to understand when it comes to business credit is there's a right way to build it. And we went through this experience when we first started because we did all of the things that you shouldn't do when
You
you're
want to
doing
talk about some of those things? Because I know when I was
it.
talking to you and you're like, I went to all the banks and got denied, I was like, well, that's probably the last place you want to go. It's the quickest way, but it's the hardest way, in my opinion. So can you talk about that? Like some of the things that most people probably make a mistake, or like you said, you did all the wrong things. So what are some of the things you did that you found out that probably wasn't the best?
Great question. Well, one of the first things, and this is something a lot of people are not aware of, is your name, your business name. Okay. Your business name has a lot to do with either you getting funding or the amount of funding and or the amount of funding that you can get. So here's an example. When we started going after building business credit, we had this word in our business name, capital. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a bad.
Yes, real estate investing, houses, when you have those sort of names in your business name, and this is it's so simple, but yet it has a very important impact, a very
It's
powerful impact.
yeah, it's very detrimental. Anything like trucking, restaurant,
Yes,
real estate, those are considered high
high
risk.
risk industry.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
And so that was one of the first things that we learned. So we was like, oh, wow, are you serious? So we were like, do we have to go back and change the name of the company? So that was one thing. The other thing we learned was we were using our home address.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Now this is in this particular part here, you hear a lot of different spins on this particular part here. Like use my home address. Some people say use your home address and put a suite to it. Some people say you can use a UPS store. We did that before. Okay. Here's what we found that's been most successful when it comes to building business credit and when companies look at your business credit is getting a virtual office. Okay. Again, we've used all of it. We did the UPS store. Now, here's one of the things that was interesting to me. I remember being on the phone with one of the financial institutions and we were doing the application over the phone. So as I'm giving them the information, they actually went to Google and looked up the address. And they said to me, they said, so are you guys next to, there's a Pizza Hut? I said, oh, I was really shocked. And I said, yes, we are. They said, okay, this is a UPS store. I was like, yes. I was lost for words, literally. And so they said, well, we'll make a decision and we'll come back and let what our decision is. They declined us. It was like, oh no. So there are some companies that will look up your information while you're on the phone with them.
Hmm.
Okay. So that was a learning lesson. It was tough because we really needed to get that funding. There was a couple of deals, I think, in Dallas, the south part of Dallas, that we would have been able to get very low. I mean, very low. And we weren't able to get the funding, but that was a lesson that we learned. Another lesson we learned was using our cell phones as the business line. There are a lot of different softwares, and you know this. There's a lot of different softwares out here that you can actually put that number in. It'll tell you if it's a landline, if it's a cell phone. It'll tell you all that stuff. And so we learned that as well. So those are just some of the things that we learned in the beginning stages. Is we started saying, okay, we have to go another route with this. That way wasn't working. If I can give another one, we were using our Gmail for the business email. It's a
Yeah.
no-no. That's a no-no.
And
When
now, and I tell my students, because I do overages, Gmail though, you can actually change it in the settings. So you could change it to whatever company you want and just have info at whatever, even though it's a Gmail account. So some people don't know that hack. And you can utilize that because you don't have to pay extra. Because most of the time people think that they have to go and get, a URL and then have to get an email. And actually Google does have where if you go in the settings, you could change it. So every time your email goes out, even though it's a Gmail account, it's going to go out as your business name. So if your business is like yours is Envision Funding, it could be info@envisionfunding.com. However, it's still a Gmail account. But yeah, that one's a huge one. And I always tell people, I'm like, don't go to the UPS store. Like, go to somewhere where there's actually a building. And I actually use a mailbox, but like a UPS, but it's not a UPS. But if you were to Google it, it looks like it's a whole bunch of offices. So even though it's a mailbox place, they won't know that because it's a commercial building and it has, different suites in it. So if they were to Google it, it comes up. So that's really important. And I always tell people when they're Googling it and looking up stuff, it's more like a 50,000 and more type of offer people are asking. So they're going to like do a little bit more due diligence. So that was really good. And I like
Yeah, and I just learned something there. I didn't know that about the Gmail. I just learned something.
yeah, yeah. Gmail, Google in a nutshell, which I said I was going to add to one of my courses, Google actually has a program for small business owners where that you can set up your a URL and they do a whole like website for you. It's a program for small businesses. That's how I found out about it through Google. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a simple hack. I love Google. There's so many different things like, Google Voice, you could change that into a business. And it comes right to your phone. So there's a lot of things that Google offer that a lot of people don't know and utilize. Yeah.
I'm always open to learning. That's why I get this information because I'm a student. Even being in entrepreneurship, this is my 33rd year. I'm still learning. I
Yeah.
am still learning.
There's no simple roadmap to being an
No.
entrepreneur. You're like learning something new every day. Things come up that you probably don't even think to experience sometimes. So trust me, I know. I've been an entrepreneur for, I would say 25 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we have to understand that because we are gifted in opening the business up, doesn't mean that we're gifted in marketing, doesn't mean that we're gifted in getting funding. And that's why delegating, partnering is so important if
Yeah.
you're wanting your business to take off. So very, very important to understand that.
And I'm glad you brought that up because this is why I have you on here because I love to partner with you. And this is why I'm having you on my channel because a lot of times, like I told you before, people come to me and ask me for the funding part, but I only teach people how to build their foundation. I do have small resources, but it's always good to, like you said, have partnerships where you could be like, you could go to this person and they can actually help you get funding or help you get business credit. Because are a few people that I know that are my students that actually have a corporation, but they don't do anything with it. And of course, I didn't help them with it. So I'm like, well, the first thing you need to do is go open up a bank account. Because if you're trying to get funding, they need someplace to put that money. And I always tell people when I was teaching it, two things: you should have a Dun and Bradstreet number, definitely an EIN number, but your business doesn't actually start or open until you actually have a business bank account.
Correct. Yeah.
Because that's when you really open your business. It doesn't matter if you've gotten incorporated and you have your articles and it's just sitting there. You have not actually initiated your business until you've gotten a business bank account. So with that being said, What do you consider? I know you said in the beginning you went to a whole bunch of banks, and that's what I love. I like to vet my people. I like to talk to people that have learned by experience because you're everyday people. You're doing probably, like you said, you did what most people did and made the mistakes, but now you actually have the tools. So, what are some of the places you would? I don't, you don't have to give the names, but would you suggest them? Going to banks, credit unions, or starting with vendor credit, if there's a little tidbit without giving too much information away, what would you suggest people go if they're looking to get like funding?
Great question. The first thing that I would say is really get yourself connected with a financial coach, someone that's in the funding space. Here's the reason why. Because they'll help you to cut down on a lot of the things that you're trying to get done. So here's an example. Um, I don't want to use this business name, but we had a business that they had really good, strong personal credit. They just started building a business credit and they kind of hit a roadblock. And so they were trying to get funding because they had a contract. If they were able to get funding, they got this contract, it would have worked out really well for them. So I said to them, I said, well, where's your personal credit at? And when they told me, I said, well, let's see if we can get you funding. I sent their personal credit reports over to one of our underwriters. Underwriter came back with a projection of 75,000. Wow. Now, they would not have known that if they didn't have a funding coach like myself, because they had went to a bank, and I won't say the bank's name, but this is a bank where they had, been putting their money at, a big bank, and the bank told them, well, you're going to have 2 years in business, da 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 da. And so I told them, I said, well, there's so many different funding sources out here, and from that, this couple, both of them, like I said, have really strong personal credit. This couple were able to get 162,000 in funding.
Okay.
And this is funding that did not report on their personal credit. They reported on their business credit. So in a situation like that, they really, I like to say, speeded up the process. So now they have these lines of credit on their business credit, and they had some vendor accounts. So again, it really depends. But my first recommendation would be to connect with someone that can help you to cut down a lot of time wasted, a lot of mistakes. And, I see a lot of times people go to run the banks and they get these declines, not understanding, hey, those are inquiries that's
Yeah.
going to bring down your personal credit. So you might want to stop and get some coaching so that you don't, get yourself in a place where you're having to now get your credit cleaned up before you can even go and look at getting any kind of funding for your business. So
Yes.
that would be my first recommendation.
And is it okay to say that I could recommend you because I like your process, like you do, basically, and I like to vet my people. So what I like about you is you don't charge anything up front, right? So like
Correct.
basically you just ask for the credit report and then you give them a financial, what did you call that again? A
It's
financial.
a, yeah, it's a free custom funding plan.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the free custom funding plan because I think that's a start, right? Because you are a
It
funding
is.
coach. Like you let
It
them know
is.
before they even get any inquiries. And I like what you said the other day. What did you say? It's not about your credit, it's about your credit profile.
Not about your credit score. Yeah,
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, sorry, I misquoted you. So yeah, I
that's
want you
okay.
to talk about that. But yeah, let's talk about the free funding analysis and tell them about your process so that if they want to, and I'll have your link. I'll have his link at the in the bottom of the comments. So if you guys want to reach out to Will King, his information will be in the comment section. But yeah, tell me a little bit about your funding analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. So we give a free custom funding plan, and that has been really, really helpful for businesses because it's a custom funding plan, custom to your business. Every business is different. So in the funding space, it's not a one size fit all. Okay. Some businesses, you may be in a place where a term loan may be a better fit for you. Other businesses may be in a place where a line of credit or business credit cards. So with that custom funding plan, it allows us to dive into just with getting a few questions answered, what product would be best fit for your business at this time. Okay. So we do that for free. That's absolutely free. And then once we determine that, from there, we will then say, okay, hey, do you have any hiccups on your credit? Okay. Because every time I ask someone about their credit, the first thing I get the response is a credit score. This is something that we learned. And this is what banks don't tell you. Banks don't really care about your credit score. Okay. Banks care about your credit profile. We have a couple of banks, I won't mention name. There's two banks here in Texas that refer business to us of people that they cannot get funding for. It's a relationship that we built with a couple of the commercial lenders. Okay. And so we've had people they've sent us that have had a 750 credit score. So you would think, wow, 750, why can't you get funding? The reason why is because they have a thin credit profile. There's not a lot on the credit. So when there's not a lot on the credit, you don't give the banks, the financial institutions, a lot of information to make a decision as to if you are a good fit for their products or not. They don't have a lot to go off of. Okay. So what we tell people is you want to focus on building your credit profile, because when you build a strong credit profile, your credit score is it's inevitable that you will have high credit scores. So what does a strong credit profile look like? You want to have a mixture of accounts, revolving and installment. We know revolving are credit cards. They're also your store cards. Those are charge cards. But when I say revolving, I'm speaking of American Express, Master, Visa. You want to have some of those, okay? And you want to make sure that your minimum credit limit is $3,000, okay? Because I know a lot of times when people are building credit, they'll go and get, secured cards, which secured cards are a good way to build credit. And they'll get like a $500 credit limit, which I get that, but you have to understand how the banks. Here's one of the things I tell people: you have to get into the minds of the bank. You have to think like the bank is thinking,
Right.
okay? Because if you're coming and trying to get funding or financing from them, you have to know what is it that will make them say yes to your application.
Correct.
So I'm giving you the information that will make a bank say yes to your application, and almost any bank, okay?
Right.
So you have to make sure you have a good mixture of accounts, revolving accounts, installment accounts. Installment accounts are things like mortgage, your car payments, loans, personal loans. Those are installment accounts. They have fixed monthly payments. They have a term in which you will pay that off. Okay. You also want to make sure you have age, history. So we like to tell people at least 4 years minimum. The longer the better. It's kind of like wine. The older wine is, the finer it is, the better it is. So same thing with your credit. The older, the better. Okay. Now you definitely cannot have derogatories. You cannot have late pays and charge-offs. You cannot have public records such as tax liens and foreclosures and short sales. You can't have those things on your credit report. Those are red flags when it comes to banks looking at your credit. Okay. The other thing you have to make sure is when it comes to credit card utilization, this is a big one.
Yeah.
I have seen this over the last 2.5 years, and I get it. COVID has impacted every business to some degree. So I definitely get it. And because a lot of business owners are using their personal credit to keep their business going, and we've been there, I understand it, okay? Because you have to do what you have to do. But understanding that when you're using your personal credit to keep your business going, well, when you run up that credit utilization on your credit cards, if you do not get it paid down before the closing statement cycle and it reports, then that high utilization is going to bring down your credit scores. This is the biggest thing that I have seen. So people ask me, well, where does my utilization need to be? I'm going to give you two answers. Banks are okay at 30 to 35%. We've seen some even lend at 40% utilization. What we tell clients is the sweet spot is between 1% and 8%. So here's an easy way of calculating. If you have $1,000 credit limit on a credit card, 1% to 8%. So 1% is about $10, 8% is about $80, somewhere around there. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with those credit cards, everybody knows about a due date. You get those on your statement. We know a due date. But there are two other dates that we tell people that you got to keep in mind. Write it on a whiteboard, put it in your calendar, do whatever you need to do to help you remember these other two dates. That is your closing statement date and the date that they report this to the credit reporting agencies. Very important. That closing statement date is important because whatever is on your account at that date that it closes, that's what they're going to report to the credit reporting agency.
Right.
Very important. Okay. So you have to make sure that you keep an eye on those two dates, that closing statement date and the date that they're reporting. If you don't know those dates, very simple. Just call the institution and ask them. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very important. So that's a strong credit profile. And typically you like to have, we like to say 8 accounts or more. Some people say 10 accounts or more. Some people say 5 accounts or more. We found that around 8 accounts or more has been a really good spot. Okay. Between, like I said, revolving accounts, installment accounts. All right. 4 years or more of age, very important. Utilization for funding sake, you can go at 30%, but a real sweet spot is 1 to 8%. When you have this type of a credit profile, 750, 800, it's a given.
Right.
Given.
Okay. And then you want to talk about, we'll wrap it up really quick. You want to talk about the myths we were talking about. I'm going to just say this on this channel, and I would love if anybody else is watching to combat it. But remember, we were talking about the other day how a lot of people think that you can do it just on the business credit and not your personal. You want to touch on that?
I do.
I think that's like the biggest myth. However, what I do want to say is, like, I was even looking at my credit report and I was like, some of my business credit lines are not on my personal credit report, but they do ask for your personal. So you want to talk about that myth? Because I think a lot of people get, I think they get misinformed. I'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we hear a lot of times that, hey, you can get funding, you can get business credit, just by building your business credit. Not totally so, okay? Let me preface it by saying it this way. I tell people that building your personal credit is the foundation to your financial wealth. Bottom line, okay? Because when your personal credit is in a good place, the doors of getting funding will be open to you like you would not even believe, for your business as well as you. So one of the myths is that people think that you can get funding and they don't look at your personal credit. That's not totally true. There's not a lot of institutions out here. Now, most people are familiar with Sam's Club, okay? Sam's Club, you can go in the store. They will not look at your personal credit if you tell them that you do not want a personal guarantee. Now, your business credit, and particularly your Experian and Telescore, needs to be at a 79 or higher in order to get a business MasterCard with Sam's Club.
Okay, wait, let's stop right there, because a lot of people, let's talk about the 79 Intellis score, because I don't think, I call it the Paydex score, because people are like, 79, just kind of reiterate that is your business credit score. And I believe the highest you can have is an 80. Is that correct?
100.
100. Okay.
But you have different scoring models. So you have different credit reporting agencies, just like you have on the personal side. Okay. So you have Dun & Bradstreet, which is kind of the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
D&B. You have Experian and Telescore, and then you have Equifax, and then you have small business. I can't remember the name. I think it's SBE. I think is what it's called. Okay. But so those are your 4 main business credit reporting agencies. So with Dun & Bradstreet, Dun & Bradstreet gives you a Paydex score.
Yeah.
So obviously, as you begin to put trade lines on there, that's how you're going to build that. Now, you need a minimum of 3 trade lines in order to get a score. Okay. Now, once you get that 79 IntelliScore, Experian IntelliScore, you can then go and say, hey, and we say you have to go inside of a Sam's Club. You don't want to do it online. You need to go inside of one. Okay. When you go inside of one, you're going to let them know that you're not going to personally guarantee this. You want it to be under your business. So you have to make sure that your business is already set up. You have to make sure that you have those different things we talked about just a moment ago. So when you have those things, you can go into a Sam's Club. Now, you can go into a Experian. You can go into a Telescore. You can go into a Experian. You can go into a Telescore. You can go into a Experian. You can go into a Telescore. You can go into a Experian. You can go into a Telescore. You can go into a Experian. You can go into a Telescore. 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 You can go into a Telescore They will not look at your personal credit. They'll look at the business, and in particular, they'll look at experience. Okay. When it comes to all of these other financial institutions, mostly when you're talking about getting cash credit cards, I'm not talking about vendor, because with vendor accounts, yes, you don't have to have a personal credit score or personal. They're not going to look at personal because vendor accounts are basically just, supply stores,
Right.
office supply stores, places like that. So they're not going to ask for personal credit. Okay.
Right.
But you do have to make sure that your personal credit is in a good place if you're trying to get cash credit cards. I'm
Right.
talking about Master, Visa, American Express. They are going to look at your personal credit. You can't get around that. Okay. And let me just preface that by saying this: they're going to look at yours or someone's personal credit. Okay.
Right.
Because we have people that we also recommend a credit partner. I won't go into that on this. But we've gotten clients funding that have had a credit partner while that particular person is working on their own personal credit, getting their own credit in a better place. They've had someone that would, step in as a credit partner. We've had the conversation with the credit partner, and we've seen people get $40,000, $50,000 for their business with a credit partner. So somebody's going to have good personal credit in order to get these credit cash lines.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad that you clarified that. I wanted to talk about that and touch on just the myth that a lot of people have. But I just want to recap. He gave you guys a nugget. If you guys listen this far, that you can't go to Sam's Club without a personal grantor. But if you're looking for funding, even 20, I would say 25 on up, they're gonna definitely look at your personal credit. Now, the good thing about this, because I was just thinking, like I was telling you, my SBA, I don't think my SBA loan is on my personal credit, but I've noticed that a lot of my business lines of credit are not on my personal credit, but that doesn't mean they pulled my personal credit. They pull your personal credit to verify that you are the grantor, that there is a person behind this business. So I just wanted to clarify that and let people know that I feel like that's like a myth that, that people are being misinformed. You do have to have decent personal credit in order to get business credit. So I just wanted to say that. Is there anything else you want to say in regards to business credit and kind of like let people know like where to find you before we wrap it up?
Absolutely. All I would say is it's so important as business owners, entrepreneurs, that we have access to capital. It is so important. And I tell people all the time, it's better for you to have it and not need it than for you to need it and you don't have it. And as the economy is changing, this is the time when great opportunities are going to come available at low prices. Okay. And if you have access to funding, guess what? You're going to be able to take advantage of those, which means you'll probably be able to create another stream of income. So it's these times when people become millionaires. I mean, we hear it all the time.
Yes,
And if
that's
there's
why
one, yeah, if there's one thing that I found in common is the fact that these people have access to funding.
or need help
So
or where to start, what you can offer them.
yeah, absolutely. We're on LinkedIn. That's probably the more usable platform that we use. So you can find us on LinkedIn, Elite Vision Funding, Will King. And we also have a Facebook page, Elite Vision Funding and Credit, and Will King. So you can find us on either one of those platforms. And my phone number is 469 209 5472. 469 209 5472. And really quick, just, working with us, one of the things that we really like to do is improve what we call our submit ratio. So let me just kind of give a scenario really quick. Most people, what they do is they go online, they'll find a financial institution, they'll apply. Most people get declined. Okay, I'm just being honest. Most people get declined. So what we do is we do the upfront part of saying, hey, here's a free custom funding plan. Answer just a few questions about your business, and then we can tell you what product you may be best fit for right now, or maybe right now is not the best time for you to get funding. Either way, it's going to cut down on a lot of wasted time, and it's going to cut down on you getting inquiries on your credit report, which will run down your scores. Too many inquiries also is a red flag to bank. So you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of inquiries. So we just help with making sure that we can get you through that approval door. Okay. And if you're not ready to go through that door, then we say, hey, we suggest doing this, do this, do this, and then we can get you through that door. So again, as a funding coach, we save you time, energy, and money is what we do. Okay. Because at the end of the day, does it make sense to go to an institution, get funding, or try to get funding, only to get declined, and they don't tell you why they declined you?
Right.
So we save you all of that by simply saying, hey, let us give you a free custom funding plan, answer a few questions about your business, and let's see if you're ready to go. If you're ready to go, then we can tell you, hey, a good product for you may be a line of credit, a good product for you may be a business term loan. We don't know. SBA may be good for you. So we do all of those, but we can let you know where you're at in that process. And there's no cost for you to go through that. It's free.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Will. I really like to just help my community in any way possible. I think this is a really good added benefit. I have added some of the basics to my premium course. And so people that are wanting to do tax deeds in particular, like I tell people, when I bought my first tax deed, I used my business line of credit. And it's interesting that you're saying as the economy, I was like looking, and I'm like, I think I need to get on a plane. I was looking at like 11 acres. Well, the opening bid is like 1,500. So we know it's going to go up, but I'm like, I need more access to capital. Like I have a pretty good access, but I'm like, the floodgates are about to open up, and I want to be ready. I want to stay ready. I don't want to have to get ready. And so that was really good that you put that out there. And I always just tell people, especially even right now, I'm like, either people are waiting, but I'm noticing even at the tax deed auctions that a lot of people aren't attending. So I don't know if they're like waiting or what, but I mean, I was like, this is the game time, like right now. And it's only going to get better for people that are wanting to invest in tax deeds. I've been investing for 25 years, and one of the things and this is my own particular personal strategy. I just don't want any mortgages. I did mortgages in my 20s. I own houses all across the United States, and I had mortgages. And when the economy fell, I lost my shirt because I had all these mortgages. Some of my tenants weren't paying, and I had to sell. And I really love this freedom that I have with tax deeds because I'm paying cash and I have no mortgages. So whether I do anything or nothing with them, I'm not stressed out about paying a mortgage. And with my business lines of credit, when you get a really good one, like, 10 grand on a business line of credit is like $100 a month. I'm like, who can't afford $100 a month?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you being on here. And what I really love about your service is, you give a free analysis. So it takes the guesswork out of trying to find what type of funding you need. Like you kind of give that so people don't have, like you said, waste their time and their credit points, right? So I really appreciate you being on this call with me and giving all this good information. And if you could just repeat again where they could find you, and then we'll end it right there.
Absolutely. And I, again, appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity. I never take these type of opportunities lightly because I just look at it as a favor of God, and you never know who you can help. So again, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing and how you're sharing and helping students to come along in the real estate game. So again, thank you. But you can reach me. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. On LinkedIn, Elite Vision Funding, Will King. And on Facebook, you'll find it on the Facebook page, Elite Vision Funding and Credit on Facebook. And the number is 469-209-5472. Again, 469-209-5472.
Okay. And also the information is going to be in the information section at the bottom of this video. So if you didn't get that, just look at the bottom of the video and you could click on, I'll have his LinkedIn link as well as his Facebook link at the bottom of the video. Happy investing, everybody. Thank you for listening.